alternate endings that roll out as a result of player choices can be a really good way of giving players that extra agency that keeps them engaged in an unfolding narrative. Of course, alternate endings come in all sorts of forms. There are true endings, good endings, bad endings, ugly endings, and endings that leave you scratching your head for better or worse. In this list, we're casting the spotlight on the endings that had us bemused. Whether we found them delightfully absurd or downright bizarre, these endings might not have changed the face of video game narratives, but we'd be damned if we're not going to go full completionist and unlock them regardless. I'm Jess from WhatCulture, and here are 10 pointless video game endings you unlocked anyway. Number 10. Outta Here, The Bard's Tale. The Bard's Tale is a wildly underrated parody masterpiece by In Exile Entertainment, released in 2004. The action RPG spends its runtime poking fun at video game tropes, characters, and mechanics, and one of those is the ability to make choices about who you want to side with. When all said and done, you're given the choice to side with the good guy druid leader or the bad girl demon princess. Or if you want, you can decide you want to do neither of those things and bail out of the conflict altogether. The bard can pick the outta here conclusion, where he tells the two NPCs that he has no interest in their bickering, doesn't want to die, and elects to go get drunk with a bunch of zombies and his favorite buxom barmaid instead. Which, honestly, probably the right call. It means you miss out on the final battle, so in that way it makes all you've done up until this point feel pretty pointless, but it's a funny little ending that's in keeping with the irreverent tone of the game, and thus totally worth unlocking anyway. Number 9. The World is Chocolate, 1213. If the title of this one and that game name are complete nonsense to you and just seem like a random bunch of words I've said, then let me break this one down. 1213 is a free-to-play indie game made by Ben Croshaw, better known as Yahtzee. You play as a man who doesn't know who he is or how he's come to be imprisoned, and the story explores your identity, predicament, and the antagonist as well as his motivations. There's a healthy dose of system shock in there, but particularly relevant to this list are the multiple endings. There's a secret ending you can unlock once you've experienced the true ending, which transforms the entire Earth into the magical land of chocolate, which, unfortunately, has led all humans to perish by gorging themselves to death or morphing with the inundating level of chocolate. What follows is an extensive explanation about how the administration tried to curb the rampant diabetes outbreak by genetically modifying humans. It's revealed your protagonist can handle the chocolate, but is stuck living alone forever in a delicious dystopia. I'm genuinely not sure it gets more delightful and pointless than this, but the next entry has a dog mastermind in it, so we've got that to look forward to. Number 8. The Dog Ending, Silent Hill 2. The dog ending is almost definitely the most well-known bizarre ending on this list, and out of video game endings in general, but it's so famous we can't not put it on here, and it's so enjoyable, why would you not want to unlock it? This ending might be pointless and weird as hell, especially coming at the conclusion of one of the greatest and most emotional stories ever told in video games, but that's why we love it. Getting the dog ending is no walk in the park though. It's pretty rough. But once you do get it, you'll be having a ball. I'm sorry, that one was pawful. Okay, I'm done. Either get all 3 serious and sad endings, or get the rebirth ending, and you'll be able to use a key found in a doghouse to enter the observation room on the 3rd level of the hotel, which reveals that a cutie pie Shiba Inu named Mira was in control all along. James falls to the floor in reverence of the headphone-wearing canine mastermind, and a happy little yipping dog song plays. Also, at the very end of this sequence, we see Maria all scantily clad and moaning, and no, we don't know why. The horrifying shots from the game flashing along to the cheery barks are simply fantastic though. Number 7. Art Ending, The Stanley Parable. The Stanley Parable is a special gem of a game released in 2013 that's quite unlike anything else you would have played. It's all about player choice, narrative, and agency, and as such, there are a whole pile of endings to be achieved here. Naturally, some of them are quite emotional, some are very funny, and others are just downright bizarre. This one falls into the final category as it's probably one of the more pointless of the lot, and while lots of you will have wanted to unlock this ending and have done so, not a lot are going to have played it through to its final conclusion. That's because the art ending consists of a baby game, which sounds weird when I just put it that way, let me explain. You need to press a red button to stop a cardboard cutout of a baby crawling towards flames on the other side, which would be fine, except the stupid baby keeps trying to unalive itself, so the whole process is tedious and actually runs for 4 freaking hours. You can achieve a version of this ending without waiting 4 hours, but of course the internet, being the wild and wonderful place it is, someone did click that button for 4 hours, at which point the developer chimes in saying thank you for playing. Number 6. MORINTH kills you, Mass Effect 2. I'm just gonna say it, if you picked the relatively evil MORINTH over her mother Samara, who was actually a good person and brought MORINTH aboard after killing Samara in Mass Effect 2, there's no way you aren't also the same kind of person who's gonna roll the dice on the whole don't bone her, she'll kill you thing and see if you can get away with it. This might be a pointless way to go for Commander Shepard in your heroic fight against the Reapers, but if you've got a soft spot for psychopathic Asari with rare genetic disorders that cause them to kill their mates while hooking up, then you might have decided to kill off her mother and take her aboard instead. She tells you not to worry and you'll totally be able to get with her and live, but she's absolutely lying, and hooking up with this particular shipmate is a fast track to getting a critical mission failure screen that ends your game. Amusing, but not super helpful for the galactic cause. Number 5. Wait it out, Far Cry 4. Waiting is not really something that video game fans like to do in their video games. It's something we have to do all the time in real life, so why would we want to dig into a bombastic fantasy and do more waiting? That said, when this secret ending broke online, most of us couldn't help but go try it out for ourselves. The Far Cry series is famous for its multiple endings and secret endings, and this is a particularly good one. At the beginning of Far Cry 4, you meet the megalomaniac self-proclaimed King Pagan Min, after he storms your transport and takes you captive. He leaves the table to take a phone call and torture somebody at one point and asks you to wait for him. Well, if you want to, you can do just that. If you hang around for 12 minutes or so, he will eventually return back to the dinner table and escort you to take your mother's ashes to her final resting place. It's a pretty nice ending, really, but a lot less explodey and chaotic than you'd expect from a Far Cry game. The best part of this ending is that Ubisoft admitted it's the canon one, because it's what the protagonist actually would have done. So the one that's over in 15 minutes from the start is the true ending, and the 30-hour game is the fever dream. So stay a while, hang out, and enjoy the crab rangoon. Number 4. It's getting real, The Witness. The Witness is an odd puzzle masterpiece with a lot of clever moving parts and plenty of interesting things to say. Unsurprisingly, it also has a secret ending that you probably unlocked because it's insanely easy to do. Sure, you could explore the island completing all its little puzzle boards as intended, or you can line up an environmental puzzle using the sun and venture deep into a secret area to find what is truly up there with the more bizarre endings on this list. You go through a little museum of sorts celebrating the creation of the game, and then a FMV video loads where you basically wake up in a house as a random dude. After unhooking himself from a couple of devices, he sort of just moseys around for the most part, looking at computers, going outside, eating a biscuit, looking at the sky, hitting stuff with a spoon, and it makes little to no sense, but we are gamers and it's in there, so a lot of us unlocked this ending anyway. Number 3. The Blessing of Despair, Elden Ring. If you're playing Elden Ring and having an understandably rough time and would like to really double down on the emotional turmoil by reaching the game's most depressing and worst ending, do I have the entry for you? The loathsome dung-eater ending is not only pointless, it is painful, but for some reason, if you want to unlock it, then here's how you do that. The Blessing of Despair requires you to give this yucky guy seedbed curses until he dies, at which point you'll get a rune that spreads his horrible curse all over the lands between. Forever, which is as bad as it sounds. You really should have known what you were getting into because the Dung Eater sucks with a capital S, but if you just love ticking boxes or decided you could totally change him, you might have sent yourself down this path anyway. If this didn't already sound like a pointless, really bad call from what I've told you here or what you may have encountered on your own, there are not even any achievements associated with this guy, so you don't need it to 100% the game, and there's absolutely no reason to do any of this, so don't bother. Number 2. Dance Dance Revolution, Deus Ex Invisible War. Deus Ex Invisible War is an action shooter from 2003 made by Ion Storm and Eidos Interactive. And in typical Deus Ex fashion, there are a handful of endings related to your choices throughout the game. Or you can say screw all that and unlock this delightfully happy ending that is not in keeping with the tone of the game but sits in that Far Cry realm of can't we all just get along? Scoop yourself up a United Nations anti-terrorist coalition flag in the final area of the game and dump it down Joseph Mandelay's office loo, and you'll unlock the secret nightclub ending where everybody's just having a great time. A dance party kicks off, there are penguins on fire, and plenty of old friends having a boogie. Pointless, but lovely. Number 1. Such Beautiful Eyes You Have, Hatoful Boyfriend. This last one requires a caveat similar to my MORINTH entry. If you're playing Hatoful Boyfriend at all, I'm betting you're mining through as many endings as you can, because not only is this game an absolute fever dream, it's actually pretty good, and there's really nothing quite like it out there. I'm sure it's coming as quite a surprise that the pigeon dating sim, where you as a human go to a school where you can romance pigeons, has a weird ending, but here we are. Sidebar, the fact that you're a human in this game is for some reason the weirdest part and my absolute favorite thing about it. This one is pointless in that it's unnecessarily hard to achieve. You have to get almost every other ending in order to see it, and then you'll be told that, and please brace for the greatest sentence I get to say this week, the serial killer school doctor cannot love you more than his research, so he decides to keep your head as a trophy while experimenting on your body and kills you off via the means of cleaver. Why any of this happens, what experiments this bird was doing, and who died before this point are all things I don't have time to get into. But suffice it to say, this will feel pointless, but absolutely worth unlocking for Hatoful Boyfriend diehard. That's the end of our list, but let me know down in that comment section what pointless but delightful endings you've unlocked in video games. As always, I've been Jess from WhatCulture. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. If you're liking, come say hi to me on my Twitter account where I'm @JessMcDonald, but make sure you stay tuned to us here for plenty more gaming goodness.